catastrophes are just sort of piling on top of each other, and we don't resolve any of that. Instead, what we just get pulled into the next 24-hour news cycle. We get pulled into the next, the newest cycle of violence. So we haven't, we're dealing with, voting rights, the pandemic, police brutality, anti-Asian hate, which I was talking about. And then where Russia is now invading Ukraine, and it's just, and then we just get burnt out, and because of the way the news cycle works, is that we forget. We get so overwhelmed, we forget, and what's really difficult is to commit ourselves to what's been happening. Like, if we're talking about race, we all understand, even though the news media likes to treat racism like it's a spectacle, we understand that it's a chronic problem. And I think what I was addressing was that, anti-Asian hate is still happening. Just yesterday, there was someone who was walking. I think he was part of this performance at the Public Theater in New York City, and as it was either he was walking there or walking from the theater, he got beat up, and had some fractured bones and so forth, and then that was right at the right recently. There was also Christina Yuna Lee, who was brutally murdered in her apartment. And, we like to think of the anti-Asian hate happening in 2020, 2021. Now let's move on to the next, let's chase the next ambulance. But we have to pay attention. And we also have to understand that these are all interrelated. That this is a systemic problem, and we have to kind of look at it, in a macro way, and not just this is what's happening to Asians, this is what's happening to Black people, this is what's happening to Indigenous people. Even, and I know this may seem kind of far-fetched, but I would say that there's even the Russia invading Ukraine. There are also connections there. Like when I was watching Ukrainians, trying to find, just walking to Poland, basically, it reminded me of my own parents who are refugees of the Korean War and the stories they told me about crossing from North Korea to South Korea. And it made me realize how so many of us are refugees of war, people who have fled our countries. That statement, we are here because you were there. When they tell you, go back to why are you here? You say, well, you were there. That's why we're here, And
Baratunde, that's why I said you shouldn't go on that boat with that guy.
Listen, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
But I think, but this is also, I think what's really important is that we understand we have these shared histories. We have these shared histories of oppression. And I think, right now we're all so polarized, but even within our own races, there's so many fractures. And it's we have to remind ourselves that we've come to this country, a lot of the circumstances in which we come to this country are similar, and I think that's a path towards repairing some of these divisions.